So, 2023, that was a thing that happened. As I reflect on the year, here are some of the things that jump out to me the most about it. Drex here from DrexFactor Poi, sharing with you the love of poi spinning and flow arts to benefit your body and brain. And today, I'm going to count down 10 of the things that I think I'm going to remember most about 2023. But before we dive in, I just want to give a quick shout out to the friends of the channel. Big thanks to Dark Monk, Fire Mecca, Flow Fests, Flow Toys, Juggling Calling, Pyroterra Light Toys, Spin Balls, and Ultra Poi for helping to make the videos on this channel possible. You can learn more about all these awesome companies and the work that they're doing to support flow artists like yourself by checking out the links down in the description of this video. And special thanks to the non-business friend of the channel, Pekha Pekkonen. Thank you so very much for supporting my channel, my work, and my mission. So I had such high hopes going into 2023. I had this big old roadmap laid out for how I was going to approach creating content. I had big ideas for things that I could do to expand my channel and expand my brand, and almost everything either just like blew up on the launch pad or just simply didn't connect with people. But that's not to say that there weren't also highs to this year. And as I'm sitting here at the end of the year, kind of reflecting on everything that's come before, I wanted to share with y'all some of the things that I think really stuck out about this year, and that I think that I'm going to look back on this year as being an inflection point around. So I'm going to give you 10 specific things, 5 of which are kind of global and 5 of which are a little bit more personal, or at least more localized to the flow arts community. Number 1, it has to be said that 2023 was a year of massive conflicts in the world. Between a second year of war in Ukraine and the invasion of Gaza, it really seems like a lot of the world order is just becoming incredibly destabilized, to say nothing of tensions around China and Taiwan. It's going to be a big question in the coming years what the world's going to wind up looking like, and I think that all of us are really, really nervous watching it. But the news wasn't all bad. In fact, I think that this was a pretty great year for a lot of different forms of entertainment. Chief among which is, as Beyonce said in the song, who runs the world? Girls. Taylor Swift and Beyonce have been out there redefining what the diva is in the modern era. Between the two of them, creating 2 of the most massive tours that have ever happened in human history, and Beyonce, of course, becoming the most decorated Grammy nominee in history, too. The Eras Tour in particular really felt like not just a concert, but an event. I've had people on my feed talking about it for months, and I think it's pretty cool that Miss Tay-Tay has that kind of connection with her fans. Well done there. And of course, we had Barbieheimer this year, which, as interesting as it was to have those 2 confluences of pop culture threads collide with each other, I saw both movies, and quite frankly, both of them were really good. I enjoyed them both quite a bit. I think I'd have to give a slight edge to Barbie in a head-to-head competition, but the fact that we got both of them on the same day is kind of an embarrassment of riches. Kind of dug the movies this year. I remember this same time last year when ChatGPT came out and became a really big deal. And that was when it became clear to me that AI was not just here to stay, but it was going to have a massive impact on the world. Since then, I think that it has only become something that is becoming ever more present in all of our attentions as we think about what happens with the future, and as we think about how generative AI is going to have an impact in how we consume media and create it. Bill Gates posted a Threads a couple days ago saying that he thinks it's maybe 18 to 24 months before generative AI becomes omnipresent in our lives and deeply integrated into a lot of the processes around us. I actually don't think it's going to take that long personally, but we'll have to see how it shakes out. Maybe 2024 will be even more of an inflection year. Also kind of related, but I've seen several articles now talking about something that I mentioned in my 10 predictions for the future of the flow arts video, namely the death of social media. I don't think that social media will ever go completely away, but I do think that we're watching a steady decline of it right now, which is going to be really interesting. Twitter is definitely in the process of kind of collapsing under its own weight, and TikTok went from the most visited website on the planet to not even making it into the top 10 this year. it really seems like we might be at an inflection point where people want different sorts of connections online. I've heard a lot about people switching to messaging apps or using Discord. And quite frankly, I think that those things are going to kind of have their own unique lifespan and their own unique kind of trajectory, both as tools where the initial run of it is going to seem very authentic and exciting, and then over time there's going to be a lot of noise and it's going to get harder and harder to sort the signal from it. We'll have to see. All right, so those are the things in the global sense. Now, how about in the personal sense? So I have this awful suspicion, and I really, really hope I'm wrong about this, that 2023 might also mark an inflection year where what we think of as the flow arts kind of either met its end or began its transition to the end. Specifically, I see a lot of people online kind of disowning the title flow artist and associating the term flow arts with the most negative parts of the community, which, you know, I kind of get it. There have been a lot of things that I've been really upset with in the community the past few years as well. And there's only a certain amount that people may want to stick around and try and fight and turn the tide of things before they decide that it's just time to pick up and move on to greener pastures. Believe me, I get it. We'll have to see if this is a thing that is a spark in the pan or whether indeed we can turn the tide here. But this year, more than any other year I can remember, I have definitely seen people distancing themselves from that title in quantities that I was not anticipating. And kind of further along that track, this has, without peer, been the most difficult year that I have personally had in interacting with the flow arts community. Earlier in the year, there was a person online who started stalking me and specifically did so to engage in online harassment. It was terrifying. It was incredibly difficult to get through. And it made it all the worse when a couple months later, I got canceled for a post that I made on Threads, which between these two incidents, I think I have felt more alone in this community than I ever have before. And that's really, really sucked. Not the least of which because I've invested so much of myself into it over the years. I'm not sure where I'm going with that, and there might be more that I have to say about one or both incidents in the future, but today is not that day. But once again, the news isn't all bad, and one of those bright spots in this year for me was committing myself to exploring poi dance in a more consistent fashion. And that led to not only me writing one of my favorite poi dance pieces that I've ever done, but also making it a regular practice to write choreography every week and going into the dance studio and busting out a variety of different little phrases that range from being kind of sad to being really sassy and even really sexy was a highlight of every week for me. Doing that brought me so much joy this year, even and especially sometimes when people gave me very, very negative feedback for doing so. And of course, 2023 saw the meteoric rise of a brand new poi star. Boris Mi took to the scene and captured hearts and minds in a way that I have not seen since John Alvarez burst onto the scene roughly a decade ago. It's both kind of cool to watch because, again, I can't remember the last time anybody burst onto the scene and was that universally loved, and also at the same time a little alarming because I remember how things went with John, so here's hoping that history does not repeat itself. And finally, on a very personal note, I think that this was a year that I felt more connected with my family's past and history than I ever have before. Going to Northwest Flow Fest also gave me an opportunity to visit the National Nordic Museum and connect with a variety of artifacts that come from places in Finland that I have only ever heard of, where our ancestors came from, and gave me an ability to connect with some of my Sami heritage. Plus which, I went back and visited the family farm in Michigan, where we settled after we came to this country for the first time in 5 years, since just after my grandmother passed away. It was good being back on the farm and talking to my relatives about their experiences growing up on it and how we became who we are today. It's very, very grounding, and I really appreciated getting to explore this side of my world this year in a way that I hadn't before. It meant a lot. Now, there are definitely some other things that stuck out in this year, and some things that are too personal to share, but I figure that this is at least a good place to start for right now. So what about you? What are you going to remember about 2023? Leave me a comment and let me know. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so other people can find this video, and of course, help my channel grow. This video would not be possible without my awesome supporters on Patreon. In particular, I'd love to give a shout out to my Flow patrons who are listed on screen right now. If you'd love to get your name in this list, there's an easy way to do that. You can go ahead and sign up at my Patreon. Doing so helps me keep on making videos like this one, and videos that I put more thought into as well. If you'd like to sign up to support my work, you can do so by heading on over to patreon.com/DrexFactor Poi. There's a whole host of awesome rewards that you can sign up for. Do check that out, please and thank you. Cool, so I hope you've enjoyed going on a short walk with me as I reflect on the year. I'm kind of curious, what are your hopes and dreams for 2024? And what do you think will be the inflection points that we'll remember in the coming year? Goodness, predicting the future. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Make sure to get out and flow today, and I'll see you with a new video real soon. Take care now. Peace.